Well, greetings and the most heartfelt of salutations, everybody. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is John Campea, and it's Game of Thrones night. We all just watched Game of Thrones Season 8, Episode 2, following up to that tremendous season opener that we had last week. And of course, I am again joined this week to talk about Game of Thrones tonight with Ann Campea and Kaori Takei. Ann and Kaori, how are you guys doing?
Doing good.
Great. Fantastic.
We just sat down with a bunch of friends and, of course, watched Game of Thrones. And I know you guys just watched Game of Thrones. And a little bit of a warning, in case the title didn't give it away, we are openly talking about Game of Thrones Season 8, Episode 2. If you have not seen Game of Thrones Season 8, Episode 2, I highly recommend that you surf away, add this to your watch later list or something, and then come back. Because we're going to talk openly, honestly, about this particular episode. And then we're going to get to the main part of the episode tonight, which is, of course, hearing from you guys and what you guys had to say about it, and questions that you have and thoughts that you have and theories that you have. You can just even throw them in there now. Just use the super chat function and throw them in now, and we'll get around to those in just a little bit. So let's start things off here.
Okay.
I loved this episode. It is everything about Game of Thrones that is awesome. It is the action's great, dragons are nice, all that kind of stuff. The strength of Game of Thrones to me is the drama. It's the dialogue. It's the interpersonal dynamics, not just between any particular two sets of characters, but any two sets of characters. And they've done this thing for they're going into the 8th season here now. There's so much history with all these characters, and I absolutely loved it. Some highlights. Tormund saying, "I would knight you 10 times over." That made Anne giggle. Anne giggled a lot when he said that scene. Oh God, that was great. Dany finds out about Jon, which was great. So many great things in this. The whole conversation between Bran and Jaime, I thought was awesome. The whole thing is just all payoff. And even the thing with Reek. You know, the whole thing about, I took your home from you, let me defend it. Let me defend you. Oh my God, that was so good. And obviously the connection between Sansa and him. God, I love this episode. Yeah. I love this episode so much. Anyway, Anne, let's start with you here. What were some of the highlights and what were your general impressions of the episode tonight?
Yeah, so I thought it was also a solid episode. I love, again, like you said, it's the history, it's bringing the relationships together. And one thing that really stood out to me in this episode, well, actually two things, was number one, they highlighted it in the episode that everyone is there, all from different houses, all to fight along with the Starks for Winterfell. That to me says a lot about character development, character growth throughout the entire series. Now they find themselves here in one place at one time together for a common cause. The other thing is that you really felt the last hours before the battle. And you felt it watching the episode, and it wasn't that it was dragging, but you could really feel within just the interactions in the episode and just the time that was spent in the dialogue between the characters that this really was the few hours. And how would you spend those last few hours before you went into this battle? Yeah,
I mean, I totally agree with you. That was going to be one of my big points was, as a viewer, I started feeling scared about possibly losing some of our favorite characters because we've grown with them in the past 8 years, right? So the highlight was seeing maybe possibly their last dance or what you want to call it. And for me also, Jaime has become one of my favorite characters or my favorite character. And every scene with him to me lights up that scene, how he knighted Brienne, how his relationship with Brienne, how he's a completely different person and he wants to prove to them that he's fighting for people and more than for his blood at this point, right? Yeah. And of course, I loved the final. I'm so glad that they got that out the way, that even though she believes him or not, that Dany knows now that she's, technically his aunt.
I know. You were waiting for that to come out.
And second in line to the throne.
Yes.
Yeah. Not next in line to the throne. And by the way, can I just mention what an absolute jerk again, Dany. Daenerys is a jerk. I'm sorry. All you guys who try to defend, I know there's a lot of you, all you guys who tried to defend Daenerys after last week's episode, watch this episode and tell me she's not a jerk. All she's concerned about is her throne. Even when Sansa called her on it. Okay, great, you take back the Iron Throne. Then what about the North? Are you going to give us back the North? No, everything's got to be mine. And the way she was a total jerk to Tyrion, the way she's a total, just the fact that Sansa said something that made sense. She looks at her all cross and she tries to manipulate Sansa. It's like, you ain't manipulating Sansa Stark. No way. Anyway, and then the whole thing, again, her first concern when Jon reveals to her what's going on, her first concern wasn't even, oh, so I'm banging my nephew?
Right.
No, her first concern is, my throne.
Yeah, that wasn't even
my
mentioned.
Throne.
Yeah.
Anyway, that just kind of bothered me. Sorry, I interrupted you guys. I just...
No.
such a
I mean,
jerk.
I totally agree. Like, I think every time she was in scene, one of us used the B word.
Just not all the dialogue that came out of her mouth did not feel sincere whatsoever. Everything was for the purpose of herself and her own gain. So I just don't know.
I think that's the thing. Well, while Jaime evolved into someone that cares more about the people, she's evolved from the young girl who was innocent and naive and really for the people to someone who's a little bit more like her father. And wants that throne so much that she's forgetting where she came from.
Yeah.
And I think there was a really interesting scene there, too, that we shouldn't forget about, which was that scene where Jaime and Tyrion are just walking together out in the courtyard of Winterfell. And Jaime's like, is she any different? And Tyrion's like, yeah, she's different. And he's like, are you sure? Yes, I think. I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's a big, giant redemption arc for Dany coming. Because like I said, I think she's a huge jerk. But in the realm of, I said this last week, in the realm of good guys and bad guys, she's a good guy. She is a good guy. She's just a big jerk. That's the whole thing. And hopefully, maybe there'll be a big sacrifice moment, a big moment that will be just totally redeeming of her. I would love that if I saw it in this show. So that was pretty good. But hey, let's talk about little virgin Arya. Virgin no more.
Yeah.
It might have been one of the two of you. Like, we were watching with about 6 or 7 people. Somebody in the room yelled, "Get some!" when she was started jumping on what was
Gendry.
Gendry or whatever. The true, actually, if we're talking about the real next in line to the king, if you want understand that the Targaryens
Were dethroned, so.
they're deposed.
Yeah. Yep.
The Targaryens are deposed. The true next in line for the throne is Gendry.
And who else knows that Gendry is that person? Because
I don't
he
even know
revealed it
Jon
to
does.
Arya in this episode.
Yeah.
Which was another reveal. And I don't know if I don't think she knew that, right?
No,
she
she
didn't
did.
know.
She was shocked.
Yeah.
She was
She might
surprised
be
too.
the only one.
So, I mean, everybody's forgetting. He's actually the legit next in line to the throne. Understand that the Targaryens are deposed. So, the legit, I don't know. And I don't know if they're even going to touch that. That's why last week I said, I wonder if he does end up with like, it comes to light who he is. He ends up on the throne. Arya's with him. Then he dies and Arya ends up on the Iron Throne.
I don't think that's going to happen, but who knows, right?
There's so many possibilities
Yeah.
at this point. I still don't know who's going to end up on the throne.
I don't even think Jon, to be honest, I don't even think Jon should be on the throne because he's too kind,
Yeah.
if that makes any sense. You need a little bit of mix.
He's exactly what the Seven Kingdoms need. Is
He
that
doesn't
kind
want
of
it.
honor and kindness and compassion and dignity. I'm Jon Snow all the way. There were so many good moments. The song was a great moment. The whole half cup, and then he fills up his wine cup. The whole like overflowing. Tyrion had so many good
Tormund, everything.
Tormund's everything about Tormund, and everything Tormund said in this thing was completely hilarious and funny. I'm sure we're forgetting about and Sam giving the blade back to Jorah.
Yep.
That was
a good moment.
Yep.
I felt that one.
Yeah.
That was great. And he was what did Jorah say? I'll wield it in his memory. It's like,
Yep.
so good. And then the argument between Jorah and his little cousin, Lady, what's their family name again?
Lily Marmont. Yeah.
You're right. Like them having that little argument. I was just expecting her to put him in his place, and she did. She's the biggest badass in the show. I love her. I don't know, what are some of the other moments for you guys? Because oh my God, I just love this thing.
Brienne is awesome.
Oh, her
having
getting
her back
knighted.
in here, getting knighted. That was emotional. The happiest, like you mentioned, John, that she's ever been in all of 8 seasons. Right? Finally getting her wish. Now she's a sir or sire.
It's like, it's almost, that is the way that Jaime can say he's sorry, that he can profess that he actually probably also loves her back in some sense, you know? So that was a really, really nice moment for those two characters.
I definitely think Jaime does have love for her, but it's not the kind of love that she would want.
That Tormund has for her?
Yeah, right. Right.
That's also another kind of love.
That's great.
The line that stuck out to me the most was when Bran said, "Are you sure there's something after this?" I don't know the line exactly, but he
What makes you think that? And what about after this?
Yeah.
Because Bran says to him, "Well," he says, "Why didn't you tell them?" He said, well, how can you help fight for our cause if I let them murder you?
Yeah.
And he says, and what about after? What makes you think there's going to be an after?
Yes.
Woo, Bran is a boss.
The lines that come out of his mouth are short and they're to the point and they progress the story in no
They're
other way.
very important. And I forgot he was marked by
Yeah.
by the king.
Yeah, I forgot that
Yeah,
too. That was a neat little. Again, we're getting into the old plot hook of take out the one thing and everything else falls apart. That, of course, we have in Star Wars: The Phantom Menace, where they took out the droid control ship and all of a sudden all the droids fall asleep, or take this out and all of them fall asleep, or close the gateway and all the Chitauri and First Avengers fall down. And we've seen it play out before, but it does make sense. I mean, the Night King made all of them. If he falls, I suppose it makes sense that the rest of them would fall too. So that seems to be where they're going. Now, we started speculating, and I still believe, I think the White Walker story ends next week. I think the White Walker story ends with the Battle of Winterfell, and then they move on to the problem of Cersei. So that's why, after
that
watching
idea.
the episode tonight, how do you guys feel about that?
I think that's really possible. We're definitely going to see a big battle next episode, because the next on, all we had were faces being shocked and about to fight each
Yes.
other. We got really no indication of what's next other than a battle, right?
Yeah.
So that's definitely on. I do like the idea of the throne being the last half of the season. Hopefully they make it through.
Yeah,
So-
no, I agree. I think the Night King lives and dies in the next episode. I know we'll do predictions later, but I do think that story arc will end as well.
And dragons.
Yes.
All right, guys. Well, we could sit here and just wax poetic about it. I unabashedly love. This was everything I love about Game of Thrones. Again, I like the dragons. I like the sword fight. I like the action. Yes, I do. I like that stuff. But what makes this show great is the drama and the dialogue and the character dynamics. And that's what the first episode and the second episode have all been about, building on all the foundational stuff they built in the previous 7 seasons. I love this. You know, I've always said I don't count myself as a huge Game of Thrones fan, but I'm telling you, the last couple of years, every season I get a bigger and bigger fan of this thing. And I think I'm really going to miss it when it's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't
All
remind
right.
us.
Well, listen, guys, let's now spend the rest of our time talking about what you guys thought about this episode. Thoughts you have, opinions you have, questions you have, theories you have. Let's go over and let's get to it now. And we're going to start things off right now with Ryan Lohner, who writes, you think Tormund and Brienne would get old at some point? Not yet. Oh, I completely agree. That don't get old. I'm telling you what, I'm just watching the screen, just waiting for Tormund and Brienne's scenes. Isn't that when we all get the happiest?
It's so funny.
It's especially Tormund and her reaction to it, because we know that she's absolutely not attracted to him, but he might win her over with his relentlessness towards her.
He's determined, and I actually thought this might be the night that happens, but I'm actually glad that she got knighted and not
Yeah.
went into the
and
sack
by
with
the way,
Tormund.
there was a little bit of crack in the armor because she says to him, I'm glad you're here. Weird pause. I mean, here to fight. I mean, remember, he's probably the first man that has, aside wanting to take advantage of her, he's like, I am in love with you. He might be the first man that's done that. So I think there's a future there. I hope there's a future there. Okay, next one. Apex Caliber writes, Jaime plus Cersei equals Queen Slayer / Night Queen Cersei.
Ooh, no.
See look. I talked to a few people that thought Cersei becomes the Night Queen at some point, but I think that was before it started to become apparent that the White Walker story is going to end next week. By the way, we don't know that. It might not be true, but I just don't see that sort of happening. But there's a lot. You're not alone, Apex. There's a lot of people who think stuff like that. All right, Jack Leo writes, I loved all the scenes around the fireplace. Oh, me too.
Yeah.
They really nailed the character interactions. And not only was that around the fireplace, but even the scene when they were all standing around the big war map and Jon is laying it all out.
Yeah.
The thought that, I didn't say it downstairs, but the thought in my head was, oh, this is the Avengers now. This is now the episode where everybody's standing around, because you got Theon standing there, you got Davos standing
All the
there, you got
pieces.
Jaime there, you got Daenerys there, you got
Bran.
Jon there, you got Arya there. It's just all around. But yeah, I mean, those scenes were really good tonight. Did anything from those, like particularly the fireside scenes, those were really good.
I loved every scene with Jaime and Tyrion together, and that's how the fireside scene started. I love that line about I wish Father was here so that he can see us fighting for
the Starks.
Winterfell, right?
Yeah. And never would I have guessed all those people would be around the table strategizing
Yeah.
about how to fight together. I
Yeah.
thought that scene was great.
Which kind of shows their honor and their hearts where their place. They're made more for humans, whereas Cersei's out there thinking throne, throne, throne. And Daenerys, it throws me back to the one thing redeeming quality was that moment when she said she's here for Jon.
Right.
Yes.
Did you believe it?
I did. And then it kind of went away when he told her what's up.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. And then we're going to see what happens after that. All right.
Yeah.
Amir B writes, loved it. Goosebumps already. Can't wait, John. I mean, me too. And you know what? All this, the fact that they've put off the Battle of Winterfell until episode 3, now we've got so much more dramatic imperative going into the battle. I think it's all going to pay off in spades. I think our satisfaction as an audience watching the Battle of Winterfell is going to be 5 times greater than it would have been if they just started the season with that, with
Yeah.
all this
Yeah.
great character work they've done. Cannot wait. All right, I Almost Won writes, Dany stopped caring about the dead the moment Jon told her the truth. This episode was a weak one. Can't wait till next week. Love your work. Oh, God. I mean, hey, all things are subjective, Almost Won, but I got to disagree. I loved this episode. I loved it, but I agree with you. She's more concerned. Her number one thought is about her throne. Her number one motivation for fighting the dead. She had no desire to fight against the dead when Jon was telling her all about it until she saw with her own eyes and she realized the dead are a threat to her throne.
Right.
And that's really the big thing with Dany. But again, there might be a big redemption arc coming in there. But did you guys sense that like in that scene in the catacombs? Did you guys get that impression that this is really all about Dany's throne to her? It's really not even about the dead anymore? Or do you think there's still some of that there?
I think for her, it's definitely the throne. And I think even though it hasn't really been discussed, obviously, the bloodline that she's having Nookie
Just a
with
little weird.
her nephew.
Yes.
So I think that might come into play, at least in her mind, right?
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of things swirling in her brain that it's not just the throne, but I think that is the main thing for her.
I just keep thinking, how would she have reacted? And
Right.
I guess that is the way I would have expected her to react to that news. And it's just kind of funny because I think you called it out, Corey, that Jon was dodging her the entire episode.
Yeah.
He didn't really want to have that conversation, but they had it. And I think that is the way that it would have played out in my mind.
And she didn't believe him either.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, because she won't believe him because what he's saying is a threat to her throne.
Right.
So she doesn't believe him. He could have told her anything else. He could have said, when I fell asleep this afternoon, the tooth fairy came and gave me $1 million, and she would have believed him. Oh, but something that's about me and my throne, and she instantly doesn't trust him. Straight Out of Asgard writes, today's episode got leaked. I saw it 4 hours before HBO. They need to step up their game. Yeah, I heard about that. It is really
really?
unfortunate that people steal this stuff and put it online. It's really, really unfortunate, but it is what it is. Ryan Lohner writes, very Zulu / Helm's Deep. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw
Spending an
Helm's Deep.
hour just building to the battle. I mean, that's it because this isn't just building the battle. These scenes are not just build up to the battle. These scenes are the meat of Game of Thrones.
Yes.
to me.
Yeah, it's having us feel that we are going to lose some of our favorite people.
Yeah.
For sure.
And it's the drama and the inner character interactions. This is what Game of Thrones is really all about. And I loved it, but I completely agree. It feels like the calm before the storm of in the movie Zulu, in Helm's Deep. Absolutely. It's a good comparison, Ryan. All right. Rory Brown writes, Tormund is a national treasure. Damn right. And after the show was over, I was telling them about his the guy who plays Tormund, Christian Hizivov or something like that. But his Wyndham, if you guys have not seen his Wyndham Hotel commercials, it's hilarious. Look them up online. But you're right, he's a national treasure. Canada Rocks writes, Tormund's giant story had me LOLing literally.
Yes.
Oh my God, that story was amazing.
He's comic relief in this time right
Yeah.
He's more than comic
And that's
relief,
what you
though.
needed
He's
in this
hilarious.
episode. You needed to laugh in this episode because
Yes.
a lot of people were saying goodbye, thinking they weren't going to live any after the Night King comes. So that was exactly what we needed.
now. Right.
All right. Henry K. writes, Arya takes down the ice dragon. Mark my words. I'm not. Seriously. At this point, when it comes to Arya, I'm not going to be at all surprised if she takes down the Night King. I mean, at this point, I'm just not going to be surprised. Somebody asked me on the John Campea Show earlier, said Bronn versus Arya, and it's like, I didn't even hesitate. Arya takes him. Look, Brienne took down the Hound, beat the Hound. I don't think Bronn can beat the Hound. Arya was going toe-to-toe with Brienne and completely holding her own. And it was just funny. I have no hesitation saying I think Arya wins that fight. So I'm not going to be surprised at all. Do you think... But does she even know about the Ice Dragon? I don't know, but maybe she had that whole spear made specifically to take down the Ice Dragon. You know what, Henry? I think you might be right. Is he onto something?
It's the first thing that popped into my mind.
Yours? Okay.
Yeah, when I saw the weapon that he had created for her, that Gendry created for her. I mean, she was wielding it like a spear, something that could be thrown possibly. So I actually had that same thought cross my mind that she might throw that thing at the dragon.
That's what you think throw, but at who or what animal? I mean, for her, I think I've always thought Jaime is going to be the one to kill Cersei if that happens. But next in line, I would think Arya because Cersei's on her list.
Oh yeah, a lot of people on Arya's shit list right now. Still, okay. Ray writes, and thanks for sending in such a big super chat, Ray. Appreciate that. Thanks for supporting the channel, man. In the episode 3 preview, Brienne is on the front lines. Do you think she is a goner in episode 3?
I hope
not. I think Theon is a goner for sure,
Yes.
and he will go down trying to save Bran and or Jon. Also, Dany is coming off as selfish as hell.
Yes.
Yeah, in an episode where Theon is being completely selfless. In an episode we're seeing even Jaime abandoning his own house and his sister and his child that's coming to do what is right. When you're seeing all these things, that stuff with Dany really does stand in contrast. But again, this could be... I love the Daenerys character. She's a total jerk, but I love the character. I think there could be a big redemption thing coming for her where she really does a big act of selflessness, and I think that might be coming.
Only if she dies.
But maybe if she dies, yeah. As far as do I think Brienne is a goner?
Oh, I hope not, though. I really hope not. She's committed this far, got her dreams to become a knight.
I know,
Only
but
to see her fall.
I know, but it seems that way in every story,
Heartstrings.
not just Game of Thrones, where you kind of get to your culmination of what you were searching for, and then you die in the next episode. So I don't know.
I got a feeling we're going to see her marching on King's Landing.
I hope so.
I think we're going to see her marching on King's Landing. So I think she's going to be okay. Theon, yep, I could totally see
Theon.
Boromir from Lord of the Rings kind of... who Boromir was also in Game of Thrones. He was Ned Stark. I could see a Boromir kind of redemption for him where he dies defending the place he betrayed. There's something so great about that. And that line he said in there, I took your home from you, let me defend you now. I mean, it was beautiful and great, and I think you're right. I think Theon dies.
I think Grey Worm might be a goner too.
I think he might survive. Theon, it's just crazy because through the seasons you end up hating him at one point. Then you feel bad for him, and now I see him and I just feel like you're gonna die. And it makes me sad. Like, I care about him now. Yeah,
and it's just going to be something to add even more to Sansa's anger and bitterness.
Do you think there's a love for him, a romantic love?
I don't know if it's romantic or not. I still can't tell if it's romantic. I mean, I think remember, he was raised as their adopted brother. Right? So I think, and he saved her from Ramsay.
Yep.
And so I think there's a lot of affection there. Whether it's romantic, I'm not sure. Got to remember, like Grey Worm, he has no junk. So I'm not quite sure.
Still feel?
I know, you could be in love.
And she was raised as her brother. So, I mean, I don't know. But then again, we've seen a lot of that in this show. So all right. Ryan Lohner writes, can we appreciate that Peter Dinklage and NCW, or Nikolai, are both almost 50?
Oh,
really?
No way. That's impressive. So they were in their early 40s when this started.
Well, Peter Dinklage is first of all, Peter Dinklage at the end of the day, if Game of Thrones were a sport, Peter Dinklage is the MVP. I mean, he's won the most Emmys. He is most people's favorite character. He has been the spine of this show to me. He's the MVP. And it's funny because tonight, when he was talking to Bran, when Jaime was talking to Bran, I said, because, they showed the scene again at the beginning about when he pushed Bran out the window.
Yeah.
How young he looked. But now he looks a lot more grizzled. He's got gray in the beard. And I said, damn, he looks good. Like kind of grizzled, the gray in his beard. Like, I think he looks better now than when he was the Golden Lion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think he was great. So I loved everything with the two of them in this episode together. I thought it was great. All right. Everett Lewis writes, Giant's Milk. Tormund is officially my favorite. Oh my God.
That's so funny, Giants.
And then he jugs that, or
Yeah, out of the horn.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like
it's
never-ending
so good.
horn. I was like, wow, there's a lot in there.
That was an amazing moment. All right, Gene Kelly writes, Gendry and Arya on the throne. I'm calling it now. Arya never wanted to be a queen, so it's sort of poetic. I mean, I think you're onto something there. There is a poetic nature to that, because you're right. She never wanted to be queen. She's never wanted to have anything to do with that, and she might be the one actually. She's going to take down a dragon. She's going to sit on a throne. I'm not calling that she's going to sit on the throne, but I think you might be onto something, Gene. There. I mean, I think you're onto something. At any rate, all right. Storm Chaser 78 writes, Emilia Clarke is a great actress. I don't agree. I have not been impressed with her in anything outside of Game of Thrones. That being said, I think she is fantastic in Game of Thrones. Playing the role of Daenerys in Game of Thrones, I think she's really rather remarkable. Like, you couldn't, like, the whole thing with me about that character being a jerk, she plays it so great that, you know, it's because of her performance in it. So while I agree she's great in this, I've yet to be impressed with her outside of it. But anyway, we'll wait and see. Anyway, let me finish reading your question. Emilia C is such a great actress. How she makes us hate her. Hard to believe she almost died twice from separate strokes. Yeah. Yet here she is in season 8. Did you guys hear about that?
What?
No, I had no idea.
Yeah, I can't remember if it was a stroke but she had some kind of like life-threatening medical conditions that happened like a couple of times or something like that. I can't remember all the details, but yeah, you look at her and you just think completely healthy person,
Yeah,
right?
well, you know, first fun fact that she wasn't the first actress in line to be Daenerys, and the person who was chosen to be Daenerys ended up having another role that she decided to take, and she forfeited. So it's crazy.
Yeah.
Wah, wah.
Right?
Today in regretful career decisions.
Right.
All right. M Cluster. Where are we at here? The M Cluster writes, my God, the moments, Bran, the things we do for love.
Yes. Mic
Yeah.
drop. Mic drop.
Mic drop moment for sure. Jamie, Arise, Brienne of Tarth, Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, awesome. Never thought I would tear up a scene with Theon Greyjoy. Another week till battle. It was an amazing, you know, as my co-host on the John Campea Show, Robert Meyer Burnett says, it's an embarrassment of riches. This episode to me was an embarrassment of dramatic riches. I was captivated by every single moment on there. But yeah, that was, I mean, Bran is turning the biggest boss, and that mic drop moment scene of the things we do for love. Oh my God, that was so great.
I'm just waiting for him to say something bigger, if that's possible. You know, like everything he says, you're just like, silence, guys.
And subtle.
Yeah.
So important, everything he says.
That's what I think makes it so powerful, actually.
Right.
All right, Ryan Lohner writes in, guessing that was a double for nude Arya. Yep.
I think so too.
Are only seeing Maisie's face with everything else out of frame is very suspect. You know, at first I thought it was a double. Okay, this is going to sound horrible. This is going to sound horrible. But I'm going to say it because I think a lot of people are thinking it. I started at first thinking it's a double, then I thought, oh, it's not a double. Come on, back me up here. The boobs on the naked scene look too big to be her.
Yeah,
Like,
even
is
the
it
figure,
just me? Was it just me?
Even the figure for me didn't feel like it was her, even her butt and stuff like that. But
I don't know. Anne, what do you think? Was it a body double or was it her?
who knows?
Well, it was a good body double if it was a double. If it was her, then great. She's got a good body. So there you go.
Yeah, there you go. I'm going to guess it was a body double. I'd be pleasantly surprised to find out I was wrong, but I think it was a body double. All right. Storm Chaser 78 writes, David Hill confirmed Symbol in episode 1 was from Children of the Forest, who created White Walkers.
Yeah.
And the Night King stole it to dishonor them. Oh,
Thank you for that.
I did not realize
Yeah.
that.
I after last week's episode, I went online and saw the people alluding to all
so
the
you
symbols.
researched all this stuff last week.
Yeah. So that's what I saw, and it's absolutely right.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Ray writes, oh yeah, about that scene with Tyrion asking Bran about what's going on after the War Council. And we didn't see what the conversation was about. I think Tyrion knows something that no one else knows. You know
Yep.
what? You guys are the ones who pointed that out, because you guys kind of mentioned, because we were talking about, okay, so I guess Tyrion's about to go down into the catacombs. And like I said, I don't think he's going down there because he's going to want to fight. He's going to think he's too good of a strategist. Then you guys pointed out hey, he just finished having a big conversation with Bran. I wonder if he's the one who figures out how to take the Night King down. So talk about that a little bit.
Well, I mean, the scene or the episode ends with him on top of the tower waiting for the Night King. So he's not in the crypt right now. He looked like he knew what was going to go down. So I'm sure Bran shared all that he could with him.
Yeah, I mean, Bran giving him his backstory or his story of his journey definitely probably gave him some vital information, and with Tyrion's intelligence will probably lead something very important.
Yeah,
for sure.
I just love the way Bran goes, it's a long story. He goes, if only we weren't in Winterfell in the middle of winter, trapped in a castle with nowhere to go. And he pulls up a chair. I love Tyrion. He's still my favorite character in this show. All right, Brandon Hauser writes, Pod singing made me think of Pippin singing The Return of the King. Did I not say that exact same thing during the show? Mist and shadow. Like I expected to hear Pippin start saying through the endless night. That's exactly because not only was he singing and it sounded like that, but in Lord of the Rings, when he's singing that, it does a little clip montage going around to the various people, and it did the same thing here. I'm sure they totally, Brendan, I'm totally with you on that. I'm totally sure that they borrowed that. That was influenced by Lord of the Rings.
Right.
I'm sure that was kind of an homage to a moment in Lord of the Rings. Let's see. Santez Henderson writes, Brienne being knighted brought tears to my eyes.
Yeah.
You know what it was, the biggest part to me? It was when, after she rose, and the look of pure, it was the happiest we have ever seen this character ever in this show. What were you feeling when you saw her get up like that?
Finally, she gets what she deserved, and she's a woman.
Thank you. Yeah,
I know that sounds kind of weird for me to say that, but she's stronger than most of those people in there.
Yeah,
and she has good honor, and she trusts Jaime, which is cool because I love Jaime.
Yeah,
and, this is
it was
totally
a
brilliant moment.
It was cool hearing Benioff and Weiss mention that. She is more knight than any of the knights you've ever seen in the show. She's all about honor and protecting the innocent and doing what is right. And it was just cool hearing people call her Sir Brienne.
Yeah.
I like that. I thought that was cool.
She's kind of proof of, like, real life, how we always just go for what you believe, be passionate about it, and it coming true. It really knocks the parallel right there. So
yeah.
All right. Let's see here. Stormchaser78 writes, Gendry and Arya completely expected. Best moment is Knight Brienne. That was one of the highlight moments for sure. But you're right. We saw the Arya thing coming.
As soon as they saw each other, all grown up. It's like,
yeah.
By the way, one of the things I said, and please guys back me up. Gendry, total Christian Bale little brother, right?
He does really look like that.
He looks like him. He sounds like him. Like I keep thinking that's Christian Bale. But anyway, maybe it's just me.
I thought it was funny that Arya kept, being inquisitive about how many people did you sleep with?
Yeah.
Oh, that was funny.
Like, okay.
3?
Possessiveness.
Yeah. I'm not the Red Witch. Okay.
I did like the line when he goes, I don't know, I didn't keep count. She's like, yes, you did. That was a great line.
It was.
All right. Aaron H. writes, I think the Night King is a Stark. I think he's going to bring back all the dead Starks in the crypt to fight for him. Well, I mean, that's not totally far. Some of us are holding on to it, just loosely holding on to the theory that the Night King is Bran. Like, there's a lot of time traveling weirdness, hold the door kind of nonsense going on that all I'm saying is I'm not going to be shocked if we find out that the Night King is Bran. I'm just saying I'm not going to be shocked if that happens. And if that's true, that feeds into your theory that maybe he's a Stark. What do you guys think about that?
You elevated that question, and I can see as a possibility, and that's why my heart's beating really fast, because I love the Starks, and to suddenly see them become my enemies, I wouldn't know what to do.
I know. I don't know either. And then I think last week somebody brought up, what if Hodor was a White Walker?
Oh yeah, Hodor. Oh my God, we're going to see Hodor attacking Winterfell. Oh my God.
No.
Hey, actually, by the way, Anne, we should just pause for a second. Show off that shirt.
Can you see it?
Other way. Yeah, there, and stand up a little bit. This is the baddest ass Game of Thrones shirt ever.
Shout out to the Tyrells.
That's so cool.
That's one of the best moments ever in that show. It was me.
Yes.
All right. We move on here. Kal-El writes, that Jaime moment when knighting Brienne was everything. Thanks for doing this after show, guys. Oh, no, I mean, I knew I'd want to talk about this show, but look, there's a lot of great moments in this thing, but I think clearly the emotional highlight of the episode was that scene. And again, after she stood up, Jaime steps out of frame, and Gwendolyn Christie has the frame all to herself. And she just can't, her eyes are watering a little bit, and then she just can't hold it anymore. This big smile of just pure happiness. Pure happiness. Something we've never got to see Brienne of Tarth ever have. And it was so nice. And then Tyrion's there, to Sir Brienne of Tarth, Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. It was like, damn right. Yeah. But you're right. That's something that usually happens to a character that's about to die the next episode. So, I don't know. Let's keep our eyes open for that.
Well, imagine getting it from someone that you're in love with, too. I mean, my goodness. Right? All of it for her.
All so special. All right. Kal-El writes, that Jaime moment when... Oh, sorry. That was the question we just read. Sorry, Kal-El. Amlan writes, spoilers, everyone. Nobody dies. Yeah, nobody died in this episode.
Nope.
Not a single one. Only one person died in the last episode. But I got a feeling if what you're looking for is a lot of people dying, I think next week's going to be your week. That's going to be your week. All right, Kal-El writes, the one-on-one moment with Dany and Sansa talk was super cool. It was a great scene.
Yeah, it was good.
They both have respect for each other, and looks like Dany does not care about the North. Oh, except that she won't want to give it up. She won't want to relinquish it back to the Starks, who had sworn they would never kneel to a foreign ruler again, and yet here they are. And she's like, oh no, we're all in this together. I love you, brother. This is all good. Great. So that means you're going to let the North go when this is all done?
Well,
No.
well, at least
I'm queen.
At least she's not deceptive about it. Like, she can't answer and lie and say, well, actually, yeah, you know.
That's true.
That's good.
Well, she was saved by the bell, right? Whoever walked into the room at that time.
I know. I thought, why did you walk in that room right now?
Oh my God, Sansa continues to be a badass because when
great.
She's talking to Daenerys, and Daenerys like, they're talking about Tyrion. He shouldn't have been fooled by Cersei. You shouldn't have been fooled by Cersei.
I know.
Oh boy, I love that. Like that was like, so many. The Starks are bosses.
I love the Starks.
Yeah.
The Starks are bosses. Okay, let's see here. Aaron H writes, I also think Tyrion is a Targaryen. Oh yeah, that's right. I've heard that theory before. I also think that Tyrion is a Targaryen, and the Mad King is his father. He's the only person to approach a dragon and have a friendly interaction outside of Dany and Jon. Hey, listen, the lineage and the parentage of Tyrion has been in question for a long time. That there was a real hate on from the dad, and a lot of people speculate because it's not really his dad. I don't know, but I think him being a Targaryen might go a little bit too far. I don't know. What do you guys think? Any chance that he's actually Targaryen?
For the longest time, there was a rumor that I really would love to sit with was the idea of each one of the Targaryens would ride one of the dragons. But now when the dragon's gone, for that reason, I question it. I know that sounds kind of silly, but I would have loved to see him ride the third dragon. So I think it's a possibility, but I don't think they're going to touch on that if that's the case.
And do you guys, I was going to say, do you guys think they will touch on who his father is by the end of the episode?
I imagine that they would do that in the books, but I don't know if they would have time to do that in the last remaining 4 episodes.
It would have to be Bran.
Yeah,
maybe Bran
maybe he knows now.
to him. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Interesting theory, Aaron. Okay, Kal-El writes, loved when Jorah tried to convince his cousin Lady Mormont to stay in the pit with all the other ladies / kids / I did too. It's like Lady Mormont is the biggest badass in this show. I mean, she is, I think, the most fierce person to be dealt with. Her and Cersei, I mean, not Cersei, I'm sorry, her and Sansa. Sansa's becoming more and more like this little girl, but it's like, she is one of the most formidable characters. I've been in love with this character ever since last year when she was pronouncing the House Mormont's loyalty to the House of Stark. Remember that speech that she gave in that house?
Oh,
it's like, oh, damn. Yep. Damn, this little girl. I just love her. I thought she was great. All right, Adam Langevin writes, didn't expect Jon to tell Dany before the battle. I didn't either.
I'm glad she did.
And then it's getting near the end of the episode. He's down in the catacombs and she appears. And Kaori, the first thing you yelled out is, Please tell him. Please tell her.
Well,
and they did. Were you guys surprised?
That's become like the catacomb is like the private room where you share all the secrets.
Right.
So,
the confession room.
Yeah, the confession room. Yes, exactly. I don't know. I wasn't surprised. I mean, as soon as we found those 2 characters in that moment, I knew that was going to happen. But I don't know if you were surprised by it.
I wasn't surprised as soon as that happened, but I do wish there was a little more reaction tidbit that we get to see as viewers, because all we see is like in huff getting all angry.
Well, again, saved by the horn because they blew the horn and it was time to fight. So we don't know how she would have reacted after that.
It's all right, you've been saved by the horn. All right, that was bad. Moving on. Anthony C. writes, Jon being the rightful heir is irrelevant. The North would probably turn on him if they found out he was a Targaryen, and I doubt Daenerys would give up the Iron Throne. No way for him to become king. Oh, I disagree.
I disagree too.
I think the North is loyal to him, even if they find out, because Ned Stark knew, and Ned Stark raised him as his son. And I think to the North and their loyalty to House Stark, I don't think that's even going to be an issue, because, by the way, he is a Stark. He was Ned's sister's son. He is both a Targaryen and a Stark, and he's the one everyone will follow. Yeah. Everybody who comes across Jon, whether they're on the wall or whether they're from a different house or whether they're flying on dragons, everybody who comes across Jon recognizes in him, he is somebody I will follow.
Yep.
And that's just been a trait about him this whole time, as opposed to, like, say, a Dany or a Cersei, I should say, who through manipulation and deception and cunning puts herself in positions of power, unlike a Dany who kind of through sheer numbers and force kind of compels people to follow her. Jon's the one guy in this that people just naturally follow, and I think the North is very, very loyal to that family. And the moment that Arya or Sansa or Bran, like, Bran knows, and Bran's like, this is my brother. As long as they say that, the North, I don't think there's going to be any issue with the North. I think the North will be totally good. Do you see there being any problem there, guys?
I don't think so, because they want him to be king, and they're opening like, you are king, why are you not taking advantage of this position? And he just absolutely doesn't want it. And the parallel between him and Dany, well, they both started in the beginning kind of innocent and then fighting for honor, but Dany swerved the other way, like a Targaryen typically would, where he stayed true to that Stark personality. So he has both. So I think that makes him more powerful. More people to follow will want to follow him because they trust him.
Yeah, I mean, you said it. I think everyone's ready to follow him. I think the only person standing in his way is himself. He just wants to be the leader. He needs to be the leader.
All right. Daniel Kilgrave writes, Sansa hugging Theon when he returned to fight almost got me emotional. I can't wait to see him fight for Winterfell, completing his redemption story. You know, I talked a minute ago about how there's a lot of great dramatic moments in this episode. The emotional highlight one was probably the Brienne thing. Another contender for that is that moment that Sansa was just forget, and she just rushed to him and hugged him. I mean, so much goes into that. Growing up as adopted family, the great betrayal. He then saves her. I mean, Theon, man, Jaime and Theon might have the most overall incredible story arcs when you go right from season 1 of Game of Thrones to now. Like, both of them have had just this incredible journey. The show's never been about either of them. It's been about Jon for a while, and it was about Robb for a bit, and it's been about Dany, but it's never been about Theon. It's never been about Jaime. But these two characters have just had the most incredible arc, and I agree with you, Daniel. That was a great emotional moment. All right, Megamax writes, really annoyed. My friend just got into Game of Thrones, and another friend of ours ruined it for him by revealing Jon's identity when he made it clear he's starting.
Oh,
boo, boo, boo.
That's awful.
Stay away from spoiler friends.
No.
Like, I gotta wonder, I have to ask, like, was it an accident? Did he not realize that he's just getting in? See, that's a call. There should be councils of friends. And at this point, the council should be called, and they should agree upon that the buddy that spoiled it should stand there with his feet 2 feet apart, and the other guy should be able to just give him a heave-ho kick in the nuts. That should just be allowed and expected, and that's no excuse. I hope it was inadvertently. All right, DC Patience writes, never watched Game of Thrones, just supporting Jon and friends.
Oh, nice.
Well, thank you, DC. Thank you very much.
Very kind.
But DC, You should watch Game of Thrones. Look, I'm not the biggest Game of Thrones fan in the world, but you should watch Game of Thrones. It's really kind of fun. Okay, Zach Remsburg writes, everything feels rushed and not given enough time. Byproduct of only 6 episodes, I suppose. Hoping the rest of the season rocks. Disappointed so far. Oh, God, I cannot disagree with you more. If anything, a lot of people have been complaining it's not moving fast enough.
Oh, it'll move.
They just spent 2 episodes, 2 hours, a feature film length amount of time, just simmering in interpersonal dynamics and dramatic tension and paying off a lot of these story threads. Look, it's all due respect, Zach. I mean, it's all subjective. If that's the way it's hitting you, then that's the way it's hitting you, and I can't dispute that. But I can tell you I completely disagree. I think this has been a glorious slow burn, a beautiful pace to these first 2 episodes, doing exactly what Game of Thrones does best. Any freaking stupid show can go pew pew, swords, dragons, woo. Anybody can do that. What makes it special when Game of Thrones does it is that its true identity is the dramatic and the narrative. And that's what they've been soaking in these first 2 episodes, doing what Game of Thrones does best. And I think it's paid off in glorious spades. So anyway, that's just my opinion. You have a different opinion, Zach. Nothing wrong with that. My opinion is no more valid than yours. I just got to say, I do disagree. We have a different opinion on that, my friend. All right. Mark Hansen writes, over under 25%. John tells everyone else who he really is.
Like in the next episode or just in general?
I'm going to take it just in general. I'm going to take the over 25% because it's the truth, and he'll feel he owes his people the truth.
I don't think he will say it. I think someone else will say it.
You think somebody else will spill it?
I just don't think he wants to say it. It's hard for him.
It is hard.
You know? I think someone like Sam or Bran or even Daenerys.
Or if Dany reacted differently, maybe he would have been coached to, or he would have felt better about revealing it to everybody else. But the way she reacted might just simmer that.
Yeah, the way she reacted was, you might be my enemy now.
Yeah.
Again, the only reason I think he might is because his overwhelming sense of right and wrong. And he might feel that they deserve the truth. I cannot lie to my people. I need to tell them the truth. And he might even have a fear, like somebody else was pointing out, that, you know what, once they find out I'm a Targaryen, they're going to reject me. But I need to tell them anyway. And then he's going to find out that they embrace him anyway. And I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Brendan Mispaw writes, seeing Arya's titties was almost traumatic. Not that anything is wrong with her. It's just that she's never been sexualized at all. It frightened me. I'll be honest with you. The first moment she started taking her clothes off, it's like, I knew this kid as a little girl.
Yeah.
This is a little weird. She's
feeling.
a woman now. I get it, but this is little Arya Stark. And there was some awkwardness to
It
them,
was
right?
very,
Yeah, a
very
little bit.
uncomfortable because we watched her grow up. So it was like watching our little sister have. The last thing you ever want to see is a family member have sex. Right? So it felt really awkward in that sense.
And Gendry too. Gendry was young too, so the both of them coming together is a little weird.
And side note, I would think the last thing I would want to do is make love before war because you'd be so tired.
If you've never had sex before and you
I
thought this was
guess.
your last chance.
Oof. What a risk, though.
Well, she was clearly awake at the end of it. He was the one that was passed out.
Yeah, he was passed
so
out.
there you go.
We wasn't going to anyway.
Next up, Kal-El writes, does Bran know what's going to happen? As he volunteered as bait,
man.
loved when Bran said to Jaime after the battle, like he may not make it. I don't know if he knows what the outcome is. I don't know. Like, he can clearly see everything in the past. I don't know if he sees the future. I don't think he does. They haven't suggested really that he has, does he?
I think he sees possibilities.
Oh, okay.
Right? But they can swerve.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Let's keep our eye on that. All right. Jose Garcia writes, John, wild theory. What if the Night King is not at Winterfell and he flew straight to King's Landing to destroy them and then ambush them, forcing them to flee to the Iron Island and make their stand? It's a possibility. The one thing, though, is that might not go so well for the Night King, because one of the things, remember they showed this, I think, all the way back in season 6. They have been getting King's Landing completely ready for dragons. They've been getting ready. They've been mounting dragon defenses. And if the Night King goes to King's Landing by himself, I don't know. That might not work out so well for him. So because I got a feeling he can't send his army against the living when the living have dragon glass, Valyrian steel, and most importantly, 2 dragons that breathe fire when they can die with fire. I think he's got to be there. I mean, if he's not there with what's the name of the dragon that fell?
Viserion?
Was it Viserion?
Yeah,
anyway,
I think so.
If he's not there with that dragon to counter their dragons, then I think it's going to be a one-sided fight. Just send up the dragons and breathe fire over all of them until they get to within range of the dragon glass archers. I mean, wouldn't it?
Well, during that map scene where they're talking about their battle strategy, they even mentioned basically that if the Night King falls, they all fall. So I would imagine he would want to stay in proximity to his soldiers, as well as also the wall and the north is closer to his boundaries. So I think that's where they would be going first.
Yeah, he would totally leave himself exposed with that theory, to your point, John. And I think he's going to want to fight in this battle with the rest of his army.
I think so, yeah.
Especially if his real target is Bran, and that's where Bran is. It seems to make sense. So interesting theory, Jose, but I don't think they're going to do that. Although, should say, at the end of the episode, we saw a bunch of White Walkers walking in a frame, but we didn't see the Night King. So let's keep that in mind. All right, Brennan Mispaw writes, also, damn it, the anticipation for this battle is killing me. It definitely felt like the Winters last time to have these characters just interact together.
Yes.
Absolutely. I think after next week, a lot of these characters that we got to spend time with this week are going to be gone.
Yeah.
Which ones, I don't know. I think Davros is going to bite it, which sucks.
Yeah.
I love Davros.
Oh, Jorah, I think, is a goner.
Jorah's probably a goner.
Who else?
Oh gosh.
I said Grey Worm. I think he said goodbye pretty passionately. I think anyone who said goodbye with a passion, I feel like, is on the list.
No, I think anybody said goodbye with a plan for what happens afterwards. Like, I'll take you back to the beaches. Then you're dead.
Right.
You're so dead. You just made a plan. You're dead.
I know.
Anyway, that's the way I think it's going to go. Okay. Styler Manu 1 writes, Arya plus Gendry scene, a girl must play the game. Yeah, maybe it's about, I don't think it's her playing the game. I think she wanted to get some.
She wanted to get some. She likes him.
She likes him. She's never had it before. She might die tomorrow.
Her reaction was a little funny because he was passed out and she was kind of just staring into nothing.
Right.
I was like, was it good for her or not?
Keep this in mind too. Even after today, she has killed far more people than she has slept with. Interesting. It should be the other way around for a normal, healthy life. Omega Jane just sends in a super chat. Thank you, Omega J. Let's see. Styler Manu follows up with 4 a.m. in the UK. I'll dream of giant suckling in bed.
Man.
You're over in the UK. It's awfully late there. You stayed up late, my friend. Hats off to you, my friend. Now get some sleep, dude, and face your new week with vigor. All right. Where are we at here? Sorry, had a big jump.
Giant vigor.
Okay.
That was such a funny.
Where am I at here? Tyler Birdman writes, Arya wishes she got Podrick's pain. Oh yeah, Podrick's got, what do they call it? The magic penis or whatever. The magic.
Oh, that's right.
That's
right.
Oh,
forgot about that.
Podrick. I love that. See how good he's become too.
Yeah.
Like he's training other people now, like with ease. So cool to see. All right, Diamond Frenf just sends a super chat. Thank you, Diamond. Frank Bono writes, where are we at? Frank Bono writes, can't be king if you are a bastard, right? Speaking of Gentry, no, you can. You can totally be. He is the rightful king. It doesn't matter if you're a bastard. If he is the king's son, if he is the offspring of the king, he's the offspring of the king. So, yeah, because look, if it was the case that being a bastard meant you can't be king, then his life would have been in danger.
Exactly.
They wouldn't have had to keep his identity secret. So they did have to keep it secret because he does have a claim to the throne. So we got to keep our eyes on that. All right. Oberyn the Red Viper Martell writes, this felt like a farewell episode and I loved it. Episode 3 will be amazing and sad thanks to the build-up from the first 2 episodes. I totally agree. It's true. I felt like without knowing who it's going to be, we were saying goodbye inadvertently to some of these characters. Then that'll lead us into, the secondary big thing after the Battle of Winterfell, which is going to be the Battle of King's Landing. I think that's where the fight against the Golden Company is going to be, unless they fight somewhere else midway. But I think that's where it's going to be. All right, Diamond Fire NF writes, Tormund's Giant's Bane story to one-up the closeness he sees with Brienne and Jaime made this episode for me. Listen, that whole story was great. I killed a dragon when I was 10. We said we was 10?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I woke up and I crawled into bed with his wife. And she woke up and had me suckle on her teeth. And was like, give me.
I don't even think he really cares about Brienne's love for Jaime. Like, he seems so unfazed by it.
It's the machismo. He's
Right?
just trying to be the bigger man, I guess.
Right.
Yep, he sees himself as the alpha male. He's just strutting his stuff as the peacock.
Yeah.
Let's see. Chris Koval sends a super chat. Thank you, Chris. ZCM Zombie Custom Maps writes, "Cry time, Davros and the girl I know. Brienne being a knight, Theon seeing Sansa." I'm just glad you brought up that Davros thing, because the
Yeah.
little girl who had the
Yeah.
scarring on the face reminds him of the other girl that he loved and he lost. And that was real and beautifully. I don't know the name of the actor who plays Davros, but he played that scene so perfectly. And that little girl, wanted to eat her up. And she goes, "No, we need you down there to protect me and my baby."
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go protect you guys down there. Oh, what a cute little girl. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. OCSJC writes, "Do you think Jon will fulfill the Azor Ahai prophecy?" Straight up, I can't even remember what that is. I can't remember what that is.
Gosh,
to
I
be
just
honest.
read it last week and I forgot.
Did you read it last
Yeah.
week?
Later.
It's the prophecy. I forget
Yeah,
now.
I'm not the hardest of hardcore Game of Thrones fans. I've just been really getting into the show last year, so I can't even remember that one. Scott D writes, "You think if battle goes bad, Dany flees on dragon?"
No.
Look, Dany's a jerk. She ain't no coward.
Yeah, she wouldn't.
I
flee.
hope.
Dany's not a coward. I mean, look, the only way I see that happening is if Jon says, for a strategic reason, "I need you to get our last surviving dragon, and you need to get the dragon out of here because it's our last," or blah, blah.
Sure.
The only way I see that happening is if there's a strategic, for the greater good to do it. But like I said, I think Dany's a jerk. She ain't no coward.
Right. I don't think she'll
She's no coward. So I don't think that'll happen. If she does, I'm saying there's going to be a big redemption thing for Dany later. That would go totally the opposite
Yeah, that's
direction.
gone.
That goes totally gone. All right. Let's see. That was Scott D. Now we're at Flo, who writes, "Everyone is going to the crypts, White, Ned, and Cat."
One more time.
Everyone's going to the crypts.
The Starks.
Okay.
White, Ned, and Cat.
Catherine.
Wait, who's not white?
Who's White Ned?
White.
Well, Ned Stark.
Ned Stark.
Catherine Stark.
And Catelyn Stark. But
Catelyn
who's white?
Stark. I don't know who white is.
Oh no, I see. See, everyone's good because it's a tomb. Everyone's going to be down there.
Oh.
I see, Flo. Okay.
Okay.
I am slow. It took me a while to get cut on there, Flo. Krieger119 writes, "Seeing a girl I saw grow up have sex felt weird." Totally.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's
Yeah.
like, hey, okay, yeah, she's a woman. Okay, she wants to have sex. I get it. It's like, wait a minute. Then I'm going back to when she was having her first sword lessons. Like, this is the little girl.
Yeah.
I can't watch this.
It's so awkward. It's like watching a sex scene next to your parents. That same feeling, right? You're like, oh.
So awkward and uncomfortable. So awkward and uncomfortable. Okay. I almost won. Writes, "John, I agree character development is the meat of this show, but it's only so many episodes that I expect some action. Dany is now my least favorite." Action is great if it serves the story.
Yeah.
The action in Game of Thrones is great when it serves the story. And, really, there's only been a couple, like, we can mention Battle of the Bastards, because that was like a one in a season sort of thing. We can think of, what was the name of the battle when the Baratheon came and attacked King's Landing to try, and Tyrion was the hero by setting off the dragon?
Oh, God, I don't remember that.
I don't remember
That was
the
season
name.
1, though, right?
No, was it season 1?
1 or 2.
I thought it might have even been 3. But anyway, there was we get a few of those, but it's I don't know. I'm cool with 1 or 2 big action sequences a year. I'm cool with that because the build up to it is so good and makes them so memorable and not feel cheap. But that's just my opinion on that. I can see where you're coming from too. Flo writes, "Arya's staff isn't for dragons. Homage to her teacher."
But you mean the very first
The
guy?
very first guy, was he using like a long staff?
It was a stick. Because
Was it a
she,
stick?
He was teaching her how to...
Because that was a spear she had.
Yeah,
like
she had
that
a
wasn't just
spear.
a
It
fighting
wasn't a
stick.
staff.
Yeah.
But it's a good thought flow. Maybe it is an homage.
Well, she did twirl it like.
Yeah.
She did twirl it like one.
I'm not
I
sure.
mean, that's a thought. I didn't even think about that flow. That's a good thought, man. All right. OCSJC writes, I think they said the Battle of Winterfell is episode 3 and 4. Oh,
Yeah.
I could.
Okay.
Because they said they
That makes
filmed it
sense.
for like 3 months or something like that. Pardon me. I wouldn't doubt it if it stretches over 2 episodes. But I still think then the final 2 episodes are going to be about dealing with other things. I think whether the Battle of Winterfell is only episode 3 or whether it's 3 and 4, I feel like the Battle of Winterfell is going to be the end of the White Walker story. And then we get into the end of the Iron Throne story.
Yep.
And that's going to be the big thing there.
Do you guys think that everybody that's supposed to fight in this battle is already there? Or do you think we will have some surprises, some late joiners to the battle?
I think that Red Witch is coming back somehow.
Definitely.
with some Lord of the Light power. But that's just obviously a huge wild guess.
Then Theon said Yara was off to the island, so as
think
far as he
that'll-
knows, she's not coming.
Well, yeah, and there's no port in Winterfell for
Right.
a bunch of ships to pull up in. I think she's going to be saved now for the Battle of the Iron Throne later. I think that's going to come up later. Let's see. Horrible Gamer writes, Brienne brought Squire to lay Tyrion. Brienne brought Squire to lay Tyrion recognized this and filled his cup overflowing. Tormund did his thing to shade Squire. Best story, best awkward moment. I don't
Podrick.
understand. I don't understand what
Squire's
you're saying.
Podrick.
Squire's Podrick.
yeah.
Say again?
Squire's Podrick, so...
Yeah, I know the Squire's Podrick. Brienne brought Podrick to lay Tyrion. Recognized. Oh, Brienne brought Squire to lay.
Maybe
Tyrion
Blaze
recognized this and filled his cup overflowing. Tormund did his thing to shade Squire. Best story. So you think Brienne brought Podrick in that room thinking it would be empty so she could get laid with him?
I don't
see
so.
that.
I don't understand the sentence, though.
I think what he's suggesting is, because remember,
What a weird-
Brienne and Podrick came in the room and like they were surprised to see Jaime there. I think what Horrible Gamer's suggesting is that she brought him in that room thinking it would be empty so her and Podrick
Oh,
could get it
no,
on.
no, that'd be
No.
weird.
That'd be
No.
such a weird one.
Yeah, I don't see that at all. I don't see that at all. Interesting theory, though, you sick bastard. Interesting theory, though. All right. Stormchaser78 writes, once again, Lyanna Mormont shows how strong she is. I am fighting, and you are not, and can't stop me. She's the best. She's the most formidable person in Game of Thrones. I am telling you. We've known this for a couple of seasons. She is a badass. She should be on the Iron Throne. Anyway, Krieger119 writes, felt Tyrion foreshadowed his death tonight. I feel like a lot of characters foreshadowed their deaths tonight.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Tyrion very well could die next episode. I thought there was a possibility Tyrion could die in episode 1. But I also could see him ending up on the Iron Throne. So I have no idea what's going to happen. Okay, so odds are Tyrion dies in the Battle of Winterfell. What do you think?
I don't think so, because he does hold possibly something very important, because he had a conversation with the Stark boy. So my imagination is they would probably wait for him to stay alive to kind of reveal or utilize that information somewhere.
Well, this episode was all about saying Tyrion is the smartest one here. Let's keep him alive. Bran discloses whatever he does to him.
Right.
But that last shot of Tyrion standing on top of the tower, I don't know. Maybe he knows that he plays a key role in the battle, and that might be it for him. I don't know.
All right, let's move on here. Ryan Lohner writes, original Dany actress was Catherine Howard in The Tudors. Really?
Yeah.
Never would have worked as well. Well, I don't know. Like, it's always easy to say that because now you know Dany in the role. That's all it is. If she had played the role, you might have see her and say, oh, there was this other actress. What's the name of the actress who plays Dany again?
Amelia Clark.
Amelia Clark. And then it could have been a trivia question going, did you know Amelia Clark was going to play it? And you could go, oh yeah, she's good, but she never would have worked as well. I mean, we only say that because we know one thing and we don't know what the other is. So I don't know. It might have worked out better. It might have worked out worse. Who knows? Hiro Yui writes, Ghost is back. Do you think Ghost would have a part to play in the battle? Here's my thing about any direwolf. If these things can only die by fire, dragon glass, or Valyrian steel, what's so Direwolf going to do?
Yeah.
Other than get killed and then raised to fight for the White Army. So I don't know what kind of a role, unless direwolves have a magical property and they can take out White Walkers too. I don't know. Maybe they can, but I don't see them having much of a role in that, to be honest with you, Yui. Third Man 3 writes, do you think Dany will bail on Winterfell now that Jon is a challenge on her claim? Why will she risk everything if she sees Jon as a threat? Well, I think at this point it's like, if you bail on them, you're losing. You have nothing to rule anywhere.
Yeah,
the White Walkers
agreed.
are going to take over the entire world. So I don't know. I just don't see Dany as a coward. I also don't see her as a bad guy. She's a jerk, but she's not a bad guy. I don't know. I don't think she takes a heel turn, to use wrestling terms.
Yeah.
I don't think she takes a heel turn, but I don't know. She's becoming more and more jerk lately. Maybe she does. What do you think?
I don't think so, because like you said, she'll have nothing to rule, and she is understanding of that. She knows, and that's why she decided to fight side in Winterfell, because she knows that they all need to get together to even have a slight chance to beat the White Walkers.
Yeah.
So
No, I don't know. I don't believe anything right now for Dany. I think she's been so insincere in the last 2 episodes, and I personally thought that if she had a weapon on her and she reacted to the way Jon revealed the secret, she might have stabbed him in that catacomb or whatever.
That would have been a big heel turn. That would have been a Shawn Michaels kicking Marty Jannetty in the face kind of moment. All right, let's move on here. Spencer Smothers writes, Arya tossing the daggers and shooting arrows all on target are just a foreshadowing of her throwing the spear at the dragon like the Night King did last season.
Yeah.
There's a problem with that. The Night King isn't human, and he can throw a spear 500 yards up into the air with laser-like accuracy. She cannot. So she would have to get really close to that dragon.
She's going to get in the catapult herself
There you go.
into the air and throw the spear.
In mid-air, she's going to stab. I don't know. Look, at this point, I'm willing to accept Arya doing anything, because she's turning into a beast.
She's got a plan, that's for sure.
Yeah, she clearly has a plan. No doubt she has a plan. All right, Third Man 3 writes, pod singing was more like the band playing as the Titanic went down, especially when they showed Sam, Gilly, and the baby lying like the family in Titanic. That's true.
That's so true.
Because remember, there's that scene in Titanic, as the Titanic's sinking, that old senior couple are just laying in bed together as the water comes up.
Oh my gosh.
I still see more of Return of the or Lord of the Rings in there, but you're not wrong, Third Man. It did have a little bit of Titanic feel. That's actually a good observation. All right, Ray Sanchez writes, does Jon burn? A true blood does not burn, right? Huh. Yeah, I guess he shouldn't be able to burn. He also comes back from the dead.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah.
That's so true.
I think maybe that's the one moment reveal where even Dany can't deny, where something happens where he gets engulfed in flame and he just walks out of the flames. And it's like, oh, you are who they said you are.
Hopefully naked. No, I'm just kidding. Like she did.
All right.
Only fair.
Let's move on here.
Points.
L writes, notice how Sansa presses Daenerys about her plans after she wins the Iron Throne, and she never brings up Jon. That's true. Never brings up Jon. I think Sansa was more concerned about the North.
Yep.
What about the North? You know,
they were interrupted, though.
They were interrupted, but I think Dany, because remember, Dany took her hand off. I think she was about to pull a "I'm queen" and stamp her feet and march out of the room anyway before they were getting interrupted. So, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. W3L5H Gunners Gaming writes, Sam stole the show again. Another great performance, dude. Last week, when he gave an MVP performance last week when finding out about the death of his father, and then instant performance transition to finding out about the death about his brother, and then his confrontation with Jon in the catacombs. And again, he was great this week. And I love the line too. It's like, Sam, slayer of White Walkers, defender of whatever. If you needed any other signs that the end was near, that was it. It was a great moment. And then he takes and presents the sword to Jorah. Oh.
And you know what? He is in the crypt with all of them, and he is the person who killed a White Walker before. So at least they have some sort of line of defense with him being down there. Hopefully they have some weapons down there, too.
I think he's going to survive.
I do, too.
There's something about him.
I just love the way he said, do I need to remind you I'm the first person to kill a White Walker?
Yeah.
I mean, it was true, Sam. Okay, Cheryl Morris, and thank you for the super chat, Cheryl Morris. I really appreciate that. The little girl offering to protect Gilly in the crypts, and the scarred man who wasn't a fighter getting Onion Knight guidance. Little details on the feeling of Winterfell citizens appreciate with all the other epic scenes. See, that's the thing, Cheryl. Not only does Game of Thrones, this is one of the things I really appreciate about the show. Obviously, the drama, the inner dynamics, the character relationships and dynamics, totally the meat. But they all happen, they don't happen in a vacuum. They happen in a world that they pay real close attention to building. And you're right, they could have just spent all the time, and they spent most of the time on the main key characters and seeing all these interactions and having their Avengers moments and all that kind of stuff. But they also made sure to save little bits of time to remind us about the context and the world that they are in, which gives even more meat and meaning to the other things going on. And you're absolutely right about that, Cheryl. Like, that was one of the most touching scenes to me, was the little girl talking to Davros. Davros thinking back to the previous season, getting a sense of what is the feeling in Winterfell amongst the regular people there. I even like the one scene when what's Grey Worm's girlfriend's name? Melisandre?
Missandei.
Yeah,
Fast and Furious girl. When she comes out, and just even little girls, you get a sense of what the feeling in Winterfell is. Little girls just like look at her and walk away from her. It's like they did such a good job of that world building, Cheryl, and that's even paying off in this episode. It's not just a payoff later, it pays off in the here and now in the episode. And I think it's going to go a long way as we move forward in that as well. So thanks a lot for that, Cheryl. I think you're bang on with that. All right. Edgar Romero writes, great episode, very Lord of the Rings vibe for me. Also, it's great to see Ghost again.
Yep.
Yeah, a lot of people mentioning that. Also, I love how in the battle plan there was no mention of how to take down the Night King's dragon, so I expect dragon versus dragon action. I'm not even 100% sure they know that he raised the dragon.
Right.
Yeah, they don't know. That's right.
Because all the people that were at the wall were running for their lives.
The people at the wall, if they mention it.
Like Tormund would have known.
That's,
Beric
you're right.
would have known.
They should know.
Yeah.
They should have passed on the information at that point. They've got a damn freaking dragon.
Yeah.
That's right. Because when they originally ran, they saw the dragon go down through the ice.
Right.
They probably didn't know that they went down under the water and had... How did the Night King and the White Walkers just happen to bring 2,000 feet of chain for that, by the way?
We didn't talk about that.
Raise them up, but you're right. All the survivors from the wall, they saw what happened. You're right. 100% totally right. So they should know that a dragon is coming. They better know that a dragon is coming. And I think you're right. It's going to be dragon on dragon action, and let's see how that all turns out. I'm so excited for this. All right. ZCMZ Zombie Custom Raps writes, Bran is like Doctor Strange in Infinity War. He kind of is. He knows he's the badass.
There's a million possibilities, but there was only one.
I am the three-eyed raven.
Yes.
Like, oh my God, that kid is so cool. Mad1306 writes, does Jon keep his name Jon Snow or go by... I can never pronounce his first name.
Rhaegar?
Aegon?
Oh, Aegar. Yeah, okay, yeah.
I can't
see
remember.
the spelling.
I don't know. I think he goes by... his family name that he grew up with. I think he might even take on Stark.
I would love if he took on Stark.
Because if Sansa, the Lady of Winterfell, just proclaims him Jon Stark, then I don't think he goes by Targaryen. I think he goes by Stark.
Yeah, I don't think so
It
either.
would be strange to call him Targaryen. I mean,
We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
Then again, I mean, he's not a bastard, so it can't be Snow.
No.
So his birth name is Targaryen. I don't know. That's a really good question, ZCM. I guess we're going to find that out.
Hyphen.
He's going to hyphenate.
Stark
Targaryen
Targaryen.
Stark.
Yeah,
Or
that's
Stark
smart.
Targaryen.
Modern times.
Ad writes, Night King won't be at the Battle of Winterfell. Again, I don't see how you get around that. Because his White Walker army is toast against a couple of dragons. And without him there to raise the dead as they fall.
Well, also kind of like, what kind of leader wouldn't lead his troops? It's just,
I don't know.
I feel like it's a pattern in Game of Thrones, at least, where every battle has their leader that doesn't stay behind, at least in my recollection.
I just strategically don't. It's like, again, at the end of this episode, we don't see the Night King.
But-
So there's that. But his walkers are toast against two dragons? They're toast without him
Everyone
there.
writing on that theory that Bran is the Night King.
Yeah.
Means that he's technically there already.
Maybe it's too expensive to show a Night King on a dragon for this episode.
That's true.
Maybe they're just saving a little bit of cabbage there. All right, Mark Schaefer writes, foreshadowing with Bran revealing to Jaime who said what will make it. Oh, for foreshadowing with Bran revealing to Jaime who said we will make it. Thoughts?
I don't think he said we will make it, right? It was more of a question, right?
Yeah,
what makes you think
like
we're going to be
rhetorical.
there?
Yeah.
I don't know if there was any foreshadowing. Again, I don't know if Bran sees the outcome of this battle. I don't know if he sees it. I think he's wondering what it's going to be, just like everybody else. I don't know. I could be wrong about that. Maybe it was foreshadowing. Let's see. The Iceman writes, this episode was pure Game of Thrones. This episode was pitch perfect. Tormund slays me with every frame he was in. The fireplace scene was amazing. What character interaction was y'all's favorite?
For me, Jaime and Tyrion, every scene in this episode.
It was great.
Yeah.
There was also a really, I like the moment between the Hound and Arya.
Yes.
It's kind of lost in obviously in all the conversations that were happening throughout the episode, but that was also really good because she just called him out, and he said, I fought for you.
He called her out too.
Yeah.
By saying, well, I fought for you, and she didn't know how to respond.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, wait a minute. It's like you just broke the rules. We're supposed to continue to pretend that we don't give a crap about each other, and you just broke the rules. And he said, I fought for you, and she just didn't know what to say.
Right. Yeah.
And she took advantage of Patch Guy, Flame Sword, Lord of Light guy, I can't remember his name, showing up she decided that to take that as an excuse to get out of that uncomfortable situation.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a real special moment. I thought it was a great moment. But God, the three last members of the Night's Watch standing there on the wall together.
That's true.
That was great. I mean, this entire episode was from start to finish these glorious, great character moments. That is what, to me, is the heart and soul of Game of Thrones. And I was just eating it up, Iceman. I was just eating it up. All right. Fred Hensley writes, so if the Night King actually seeks eternal night, is he actually a dark elf? Like from Thor, what was the name of the second Thor again? Not right.
Dark
Thor,
World?
the Dark World.
Yeah.
That's it. Is he actually Malekith? Maybe he is. I like that. Nice callback there, Fred. I like that. All right. George C. writes, I believe that the Hound will fight the Mountain and be slain by him. Then Arya will avenge his death. Thoughts?
Oh, I
Perhaps
like that
after
idea.
tonight's episode and that conversation, I could see that.
It would be sad for me not to see the Hound get his ultimate life dream to kill his brother, I guess. But that is a cool alternate for me.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a problem. Hound can't beat Brienne of Tarth. And if he can't beat Brienne of Tarth, how's he going to beat the Mountain?
I don't know. Maybe Psyche?
With strategy. I don't know. I mean, I totally listen. Maybe the Hound kills the Mountain. I'm not really sure, but I can totally see an environment because remember, Oberyn had the Mountain beat.
Yeah.
And Oberyn fought the way Arya would fight, with speed, with guile, with strategy, with quickness. That's how she would fight the Mountain. And that's how Oberyn fought the Mountain. And if he wasn't showboating, he would have finished off the Mountain. Right. But he's dead. He showboated, and he paid for it. Arya might be able to beat him, being so small. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. All right. Let's see. Lone Wolf X6 writes, I know death... He has many faces. I look forward to seeing this one. Oh my God. And as she's sitting there throwing the dragon glass daggers in the wood, right? And the look on Gendry's face. And in the middle of nowhere, as we're all sitting around, do you remember what you said?
I said, boner.
Liked it.
Seeing her throwing that thing, Gendry boner, right there. I mean, it was so great.
On.
And that was a great moment for her to give that speech.
Yeah.
Seen many faces, and I look forward to seeing this one. Oh, it was
pretty
so
badass.
good, Lone Wolf. It was so good. All right. Diamond Fire NF writes, the grown man in the food line cowering, then the little girl asking to fight along with Tyrion, wanting to battle shows real strength comes from within. I mean, and that's one of the things, Diamond, that this show has always done. It's shown, like, look, Lady Mormont.
Yeah.
Like, she's the baddest ass of any character in this show, and she's this little girl. and then you'll have giant men who are cower and run, and it just does all of that so well. Like, do you guys recognize that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. It shows strength within. It's all a mental game.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's move on here. By the way, guys, we've gone about an hour and 20 minutes already. So I'm going to ask you guys that if you have not sent in a super chat question at this point, please do not send in any more. We got a couple more left. I just want to get through the ones that we have, and then we'll all come back again for next week. All right. The Hood writes, are the bodies of the Stark family in the statues that are in the crypt? If so, do you think we'll see Ned Stark as a White Walker? I don't think so. I think in earlier seasons you've seen like Ned Stark's crypt.
Yeah, there's a tomb,
and I think
and
the
then
statues are. I think the statues are different. So I don't think we're going to see. But I mean, if the bodies are in the crypts, that doesn't mean the White Walker can't go down there and raise them. But I don't think they're going to get into the crypt, because if they do, that means all the families that are down there get slaughtered. So I don't think they're going to do that. I think they'll protect the crypt. All right, Ryan Lohner writes. The Grey Worm might as well have said he's a week from retirement on his boat to live life forever. I totally agree. The moment he said to his girl, what would you like to do? I want to go this. I'll take you there. Like, as soon as a character starts to make plans for after the big battle, you know they're done.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the guy in the red shirt in Star Trek going on the landing party. Okay, I'm going to take Spock and Bones, and I'm going to take... Ensign McGeal in the red jersey. You come down with us too. That guy's automatically dead. That's kind of what you're going to get in something like this. I completely agree with you, Ryan. I think he's goner. I think Grey Worm's gone. All right. Jose, is it bad that when he says to her, what is it you really want?
Oh,
that
no.
I was kind of thinking she was going to say, a man with a penis? Was it bad that the way you're looking at me, you're thinking it was, come on, you were all thinking it.
I wasn't thinking that.
Okay. Jose Bravo writes, after the episode, the director said this is how they expect the plan to go, meaning killing Night King might not do ex machina the whole thing. Whenever the plan gets laid out by the heroes in advance, it never goes according to plan.
True.
So I don't know where this is going to go. And by the way, again, a lot of people suggesting that the Night King might not even be there. Mm-hmm. Strategically, I don't see how that makes sense. But we see all the other White Walkers and not him.
Yeah.
Maybe he's just planning for like everything else is the big first wave of attack. Let the living start to think they've got the upper hand and then fly in with his dragon. Maybe, I don't know, but it's going to be interesting to see how that all plays out, Jose. I think you made a good observation. All right. Spencer Smothers writes, love seeing Ghost next to John. That was a cool moment too, right? There's another surviving direwolf.
Nymeria.
That's right.
Yeah, but I think that one went off to have...
Yeah, Arya and her
released her.
advice, pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I remember that. I'd love to see them come back, though. Mm-hmm. Bernie Palafox writes, longtime fan, love you, John. Direwolf odds? Well, I mean, we saw one. Mm-hmm. We saw one. I think maybe the other one will return. Again, I just don't know what kind of function they would have in a battle against the undead.
Well, the only thing I've heard, like in the books, the Starks can warg into the wolves, the direwolves, so they can control those direwolves to some degree.
Wait, can all Starks do that? I thought only wargs could do that.
No, the Starks are connected to the direwolves to the point where they
that's
can
right,
warg.
that's right. Oh, well, okay.
So maybe that's a
There's
use.
a purpose,
You're right.
yeah.
All right, thanks for that, Bernie. Appreciate that, man. All right, Travis Raynor writes, the Red Woman went to Volantis to get more priests to bring back some of those who may die in the next episode.
Yep.
Yeah, you guys have specifically been saying that the Red Woman's coming back.
Oh,
she's been back anytime.
coming back. Yes,
Yeah,
for
she was
sure.
in a recent interview. So the fact that she was in an interview for season 8, I'm like, you girl, come back. You know?
But I asked somebody after we watched it, is she coming back in the young version or the old version of herself?
Oh,
that's right.
Probably young version.
But yes, I wouldn't discount the Red Witch, the Lord of Light. I think all of that is going to play into this battle as well, and they haven't even strategized around any of that.
Right.
All right, let's move on here. We have Dallas Very Own writes, Arya weapon looked like Viper's weapon against the mountain, speaking of which, and it did. So, but she doesn't have a particular... Does she have a particular bone with the mountain? I can't remember.
I don't think so.
I don't think so, and honestly, why would she need it made out of that specific
dragon glass?
material?
Right. And I also just feel like he's not our focal point to her at all.
Right. But you're right. It did kind of, yeah, you're right. That was the exact same kind of weapon, just minus the dragon glass, of course. Cinema for You writes, it's hilarious how Daenerys' reaction isn't, ooh, I've been sleeping with my nephew, but immediately, oh no, you're going to take my throne.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't know. Color me old-fashioned. But if my mom were to show up tomorrow
What? Where are you going?
and say, honey, I had to come straight here and tell you in person, I'm like, what? Anne's your cousin. My first thought is not, how does this affect my inheritance? Ma, that's not my first thought. My first thought is needing to take a shower.
Disgust.
A lot of showers. A long shower.
Now, I'd want to know, at what point did this Asian man come into our family?
Okay, now it's getting a little demonic.
Okay, now I'm going a little too far. But you're right. Cinema for You. It is kind of odd that her first thing wasn't like, oh my
Right.
God, we've been banging and I'm your aunt. It
Yeah,
was,
I know.
so you're the heir to the throne?
Right.
My throne. Okay. Final question of the evening, guys, and then we'll call it a week until next week. Black Hoodie writes, who do you prefer to die, Lady Melisandre or Cersei? Oh, Cersei.
Prefer to die?
Yeah,
Melisandre?
who do I prefer to die? Cersei.
Melisandre? I mean, she's
Melisandre?
been away for a while. I'd be okay with
You prefer her to die?
if it was between those two.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah, I think
Because
so.
are you all like, Cersei has no soul, blah, 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 but you'd rather her live?
Watch. I mean, if I had to choose one of them to die and one of them to live, I'd pick Melisandre to die. Yeah.
Really? Anne, what about you?
God, that's tough. I think I'm with you.
Yeah.
Really?
Only because, not that I enjoy Cersei's background and what she's about, but she progresses the story quite a bit. So I do like.
And to imagine
Her.
Cersei being helpless, powerless, lose her blonde locks, and all the prophecies come to fruition, except for the brother dying, killing her part. It would be kind of a nice back at her, you know? So.
All right, guys, that will do it for this episode of our Game of Thrones recap open discussions. Thank you guys so much for being here and being a part of this with us. I want to, of course, thank the ladies for being here with us. First of all, my not cousin, Ann Campea. And where can people find you online?
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram at Ann Campea.
And, of course, Kaori Take, who's also not my cousin.
You can find me everywhere at KAORIOUS.
And you guys can follow me on social media simply at John Campea. That will do it for us for now, guys. Thank you so much for being here. My name's John Campea. And until next time.